we're going to use our Mininet, our Mininet topology and Wireshark again, but this time we're going to use it to observe the TCP three-way handshake. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to start up our network. We're going to create some traffic, and then we're going to analyze that traffic. So log into your CyberOps workstation as analyst, and open a terminal window. And the first thing we want to do in that terminal window is start up our little network. So sudo space lab.support.files/scripts /cyberops. I always put that. Bet you guys when you get done, if anybody watches these, they're going to be like, I sure do wish she'd move her mouse. So sudo space lab.support.files/scripts with an S, sorry, /cyberops_topo or topo.py, to run our Python script, and hit enter, and the password is cyberops, and you can see that it created our little networks. This is our router and our switch and our 4 hosts. For this one, we're going to use host 1 and host 4. So let's open them up. Xterm H1 for host 1, and we open that up, and then we go Xterm H2, or sorry, wow, H4 to open H4 up. So what we're going to do, the traffic that we're going to create, we're going to start a web server here on host 4, and then we're going to start a web browser on host 1, and from host 1 we're going to browse through the switch, through the router, up into H4. So we're going to browse to H4's web server. So let's start by starting our server, our web server on H4. So if I click on H4, I'm just going to make this bigger. So we're on H4, and let's go ahead and start our web server. To start the web server, it's /home/analyst/lab.support.files/scripts. So again, we're running another script, and it's reg_server_start.sh. Okay, so that should be running. Now let's go ahead and we're going to go over to our H1, and we're going to start Firefox. And to do that, we just type Firefox space ampersand and hit enter. And we wait a little bit. It does take a little bit to get going. So once Firefox starts up, we're gonna go back to our prompt here, and we're gonna use TCP dump, which is another packet analyzer, to capture packets on the Ethernet 0 of host 1. So we'll start TCP dump, and it's gonna capture packets on H1. And then once that starts, we're gonna go into Firefox, and we're gonna type in the address of H4 to start up that web session. H1 TCP dump will capture the packets for us, and then we'll go ahead and analyze them in Wireshark. And I did all that talking, and now Firefox is started. So we're just going to move this down here. We'll move H1 up. And let's start our TCP dump to capture our packets. So TCP dump space -I space H1 ETH0, so that's where we're capturing, that's the interface we're capturing on, space -V so we can watch it, -C space 50, we're going to capture 50 packets, /W, we're going to write it to file, we're going to write it to /home, so sorry, I did a -W space /home /analyst /capture.pcap, sorry. So we're going to capture 50 packets. We're going to watch it happen. It's going to show us on the screen. And we're going to send that and create a capture.pcap file. When it's done capturing, once I hit enter and we go down here into our web server and it captures, when it's done, we'll open that pcap file up in Wireshark to observe the TCP handshake. So let's go ahead and we'll start this. and I think, what is it? It's 172.16.0.40 for host 4. So we'll hit enter to start that, and then we'll go over to Firefox and we'll go to 172.16.0.40 and hit enter. Yay, which means it worked. And we captured our packets. So now we can go ahead and close this up. And we're going to open Wireshark on H1. Wireshark-GTK, no space, then a space, ampersand, which I've lost. There we go. And hit enter. So we start our Wireshark. That's fine. Click OK. Now we want to open that PCAP file, that capture.pcap file that we just saved, or that we just created. So we'll go to File, Open, capture.pcap. And it opens it up. Now what we're trying to look for, right, is the three-way handshake. So we want to filter on TCP. So we type TCP in the filter box and click Apply. What we have here then are TCP packets, but what we're looking at is the first three as the three-way handshake. We click on the first one. Let's open the transmission control protocol and just fill out our information, or look at it and write in our information. In this instance, so make sure you're always writing in your lab what you actually see. But in this instance, our source port is 43.846. And this would be a dynamic or private port. The destination port is port 80, which makes sense, right? That's a well-known web port. And then which flag is set? So if we scroll down, our SYN flag is set. Our sequence number, or relative sequence number, is 0. Now let's go to the next packet. So we've got our SYN, and then we've got our SYN-ACK packet. So we're going, hence the three-way handshake, right? So if we go to the second one, and we kept the TCP, or transmission control, details for this second packet open, now what are the values? So now the value is, now we're responding, right? So originally we sent it out, so the first port was a dynamic port, but it was going to the web of H4, right? Now H4 is responding, so it responds with a source port of 80, and then our destination port now is 43.846. This time our SYN and ACK flags are set. The relative sequence number is 0, but the acknowledgement number is 1. Now let's go to the third packet and analyze that packet. So now our third packet is, right, that last part where H1 is responding to H4. So H1 starts it with a SYN packet. H4 responds with a SYN-ACK, and then now H1, follow the flow here, is now finishing up the three-way handshake, the TCP three-way handshake, with an acknowledgement. Right, so if we look here, source and destination flopped again, but what packet or what flag is set? And that's our acknowledgement flag, or our ACK flag. Now let's go through and look at it a little bit differently. Let's use TCP dump for a little bit. So we're going to view our packets using TCP dump, which is a command line, sort of a command line version of Wireshark. I mean, it's not a version, it's a packet analyzer, but we're going to use the CLI for that. So let's close this up. I think I can close this up now. And let's go back to H1. I think we're going to go back to H1, if I remember correctly. No, I'm not going to go back to H1. I want to view the packet, right? So I've got to open terminal window. So we'll go down, we'll open our terminal window. We want to learn a little bit more about TCP dump. I'm not going to go through this with you because you can kind of go through it, but whenever you want to know more about something in Linux, you can use the man pages. So man TCP dump. And we can kind of see what our options are here. The -R is going to allow us to read the packet from a file that was saved, so that's what we want to do. We want to read our capture.pcap file, right? And C is a count. We're going to see the 3. We're going to see 3 of them. And you can go through this some more and answer some of the questions. We'll hit Q to quit. And we're going to go ahead and so we just got done looking at our TCP 3-way handshake and Wireshark. Now we're going to use TCP dump, which basically does the same thing. It's still a packet analyzer, but we're going to do it via CLI. So we're going to type TCP dump space -R to read / now we've got to go to the file, right? Where's the file that we're opening? /home / analyst / capture.pcap. And we're filtering on TCP. We're looking for TCP capture, or TCP packets, sorry. And the first 3. And hit enter. And so now we're seeing a very similar thing. It's just we're seeing it via CLI rather than, now I just moved sorry guys, hold on. There we go. I moved the wrong window, made the wrong window big. We're seeing a similar thing. We're just seeing it all text-based now. All right, we still opened our PCAP file with our packets in it. We still filtered on TCP. We're just viewing it a little bit differently now. And we can see our first packet has our source of H1 and our source port of 43.846, just like we did before. The destination is H4's IP address, and our source, again, is the web, or the web port, or HTTP, which is 80. Our SYN flag is set, and then here's the second of the 3 packets, right? Now this time, our source is H4 with a port of 80, or HTTP. Destination is H1 with our SYN ACK flag again, and then the final response is our ACK flag, and it's our response, or our final packet. So here's our 3 packets. Just look at it a little differently. 1, 2, and 3. So similar things, just a different way of looking at it. I think we're done with this one. Now we just have to do our cleanup. So let's close that. And did I close Wireshark earlier? I don't remember. We can close these though. And we'll bring up this window. We'll quit Mininet, hit enter. We'll also then clean up with our sudo mn-c command, CyberOps, and done. Don't forget to do the reflection